TARDIS Temporal Reversion in progress. Detonation in 30 seconds. 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24,
I can almost reach the REVERSE-MO-TRON.
Matt, it's been an honor working with you.
No, don't speak like that. We'll get through this.
Dying from blaster holes.
Crawling on the ground. I can almost reach.
I'm not gonna.
Almost there.
2, 1.
Voices from the Vortex is a fan podcast created by Matthew Whitecamp and Taylor Davidson. Starring Matthew Whitecamp as Matt from Gallifrey, Taylor Davidson as Taylor from Gallifrey, and Danielle Davidson as the voice of the TARDIS. Music arranged by Murray Gold for the BBC. Doctor Who and all related material is copyright BBC. No infringement on rights intended. Use of material is for satirical purposes and is not intended to be canon. As always, a huge thanks to the BBC and Doctor Who for inspiring us, entertaining us, and giving us one more thing in life which kicks massive ass. Make sure to follow our podcast on broadcastgallifrey.com or check us out on all of our social media pages: Facebook, Google+, Twitter, Tumblr, and of course YouTube. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again in the Vortex.
On the TARDIS, near the end of the podcast, when no one can speak falsely or fail to answer, a question will be asked. A fan question!
Welcome to the fan question section of the podcast. This is the part of the podcast where what we do is we answer your fan questions. You send us the questions of the things that are burning in your mind, things you want to know from the two dudes of Gallifrey. And what do? Why, we answer them, of course. Taylor, what is this month's question from a fan?
Our question is from Stephen Unger. Stephen writes, I saw a text post on Tumblr that said something like, since River was born to kill the Doctor but ended up saving him, does that mean that since Clara was born to save the Doctor, she will end up killing him? That makes Moffat sense, OMG! Etc., etc. I'd like to hear your opinion on the matter. That would be interesting. I don't think they'd ever kill the Doctor. Like, kill him, because that would be the end of the show, of course. But that's an interesting sort of parallel there. I don't know. I kind of have this. I kind of have this feeling, and maybe it's not a feeling. It's more of a hope, just for the show, because it would be. I think it'd be really dramatic, and I think it'd be really good, and everything. And it's going to sound really bad, but bear with me. I kind of want Clara to die. Ooh. Like, I love Clara. Don't get me wrong. I love her. She's awesome. But I think it would be such good television if she died. We haven't had a companion die in a long time.
That is true.
It's Adric. All the other companions really have, lived happy lives for the rest of the time. And I feel like it would be really dramatic since we're going into this darker Doctor Who, Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's kind of, I don't think that would happen. That'd be a really interesting parallel, but I don't think it would happen. But I do think it would be interesting if she died in the end here.
Perhaps she already did kill the Doctor, though.
Think about it. It was her intervention with the TARDIS that kept the TARDIS from returning to the Doctor at Trenzalore. The Doctor got stuck on Trenzalore because the TARDIS could not return to him. She was holding on to the key. It was her insistence in holding on to the Doctor, trying to get back to him. The TARDIS took hundreds of years, and so the Doctor became entrenched in Trenzalore, which inevitably led to his death. So perhaps she, as the impossible girl, was the reason he couldn't leave his fate at Trenzalore. Perhaps she did kill the Doctor.
I see. She killed him with time. Made him really old.
Hell of a way to kill someone.
See what you're saying there, yeah.
Stephen, we appreciate your question, and I'll tell you what, that was a good one.
It was a good one.
Send
us those questions.
Indeed. Send us questions. voicesfromthevortex@gmail.com or visit our site at broadcastgallifrey.com. Send us your questions so we can find out what you have burning on your minds and what we can easily bring out of our mouth holes. And there you have it, the wonderful fan question section of the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard it here first. The two dudes from Gallifrey answering all of your burning questions. We'll see you next time. Yay!
Well, that was a productive 15 minutes.
They breached the doors. We have to get out of here.
Quickly, through the back exit. That'll take us down into the TARDIS mainframe.
Here, in here.
Hey, what is this room?
A celestial map room. It shows us the full universe we've explored so far.
Nice. So, let's see. Where are we?
We're... Oh, crap. The Crab Nebula.
It's just a name.
No, not this Crab Nebula. It's made of space crabs. Lots and lots of space crabs.
How are we gonna get out of here?
Detonation in 12 minutes.
We have to figure out how to stop that.
Wait, I know. The secondary control room.
Yeah, we can abort the procedure through there. We can send a distress call.
It's just down the hall.
Here we are. Alright. I'll try to access the TARDIS mainframe through here.
TARDIS? How are you holding up? Oh no.
I can't seem to get any of these controls to work.
They've overridden the system. There's no way to get the TARDIS to respond now.
Taylor, what are we gonna do?
If only we had some device which could reverse time to before Bill Skaldak came on board. Then we could stop him from saying anything which would bring the Ice Warriors here.
Oh, you mean like...
Of course! The TARDIS Temporal Device!
REVERSE-MO-TRON!
We are not calling it that.
It's my machine. I built it. I name it.
Quickly, where did you hide it?
Well...
You didn't put it away, did you?
I might have just shoved it underneath the console.
Great. How are we supposed to get to it then?
Actually, I have an idea.
Is it a good idea?
Wouldn't any idea right about now be a good idea?
Fair point.
Alright, good. No, it's a terrible idea, but it'll work. Okay.
Talk to me, Goose.
Well, we can... Really? I don't have it. Well, we can use the console here to create a localized dematerialization point. We could shift this room on top of the main control room and essentially land right next to the device.
And probably right next to the Ice Warriors as well.
Big risks, but bigger reward.
Alright, I'm in. How does it work?
You set the coordinates for reconfiguration of the TARDIS rooms. That's over there. I'll input the dematerialization codes right here. It should only take a minute.
This is exciting.
If it works, we'll be the first in history to use a console room in the TARDIS to travel into another room.
Alright, we're ready over here.
Alright, hang on. It's working!
Look! We're dematerializing already!
This is the Celestial Observatory!
Intruders! The Time Lords are teleporting.
That was close.
Now where are we?
The Looks like we're landing at... It's the theater! I was unimpressed with the story of our attack on the moon Transmat.
Yes, I rather enjoyed our earlier adventures in the snow.
Everyone's a critic.
We're moving again!
Hold on, I hope this gets us to the control room, as I'd hate to end up in the bathroom.
Not me, I really gotta go. Alright, we're here, the control room.
The Time Lords, destroy them.
Quickly, behind this overturned table.
The workbench. It's getting pummeled.
Glad you didn't clean this up.
Detonation in 5 minutes.
We don't have time to spare. You see the REVERSE-MO-TRON over there?
Yeah, but it's out of reach. If either of us heads over there, we'll be blasted.
It doesn't matter. If this works, we'll be safe.
Matt, no!
Ah! I've been shot.
No!
Taylor! What? Why'd you leap out like that?
It always seems to work. In the movies.
Detonation in 4 minutes.
Ice Warriors, retreat. Victory is ours.
Well, this could be worse.
Oh yeah? How?
Detonation in 2 minutes.
Awesome. To my dearest Matthew, this time war has taken its toll on all of us. I've seen young men shot in the heat of combat and had their legs removed by the doctors. No, not the doctor. The multiple doctors who care for their patients on the strewn battlefield of war. Oh, these lonely nights apart, without podcast, nor friendship, nor comfort. I once snuggled with a Dalek corpse to feel something, but I felt nothing but the cold, hard, steely bumps of war. I fear I'm losing myself. Please, keep your body and mind safe from this terrible war, so that we may podcast again one day. All my love to the TARDIS, and to your smiling face, which I will always remember as the thing I saw prior to every good prank. I hate all your pranks. Seriously, dude, you suck when you prank me. Go to hell. Your loving comrade in podcast, Taylor. Quickly, in here, the theater. We'll be able to lock the doors and hold them off.
Okay. Now what?
TARDIS, activate emergency temporal beacon. Alert Gallifrey that we've come under attack.
Temporal beacon unavailable. Protocol 6 engaged. TARDIS detonation in 35 minutes.
What? I thought that was Protocol 7.
Error. Systems unavailable for confirmation.
They must be hacking into the computer system from the control room.
Well, they're gonna try and get in.
Hey, you know what locks those doors more securely? Whenever we review a classic episode of Doctor Who.
Really? How'd you know that?
Well, last month I got up to grab a bag of Sour Patch Daleks, and the doors were deadlock sealed. Must be some sort of security measure.
TARDIS, activate Theater Review Program, March 1.
Activating TARDIS Theater Review Program.
This will give us some time so we can figure out how to send a distress beacon, and shut down the detonation sequence.
Hey, which classic Who episode are we watching anyway?
The DVD case says, The Seeds of Death.
Oh, great, just what we need. More Ice Warriors.
Playback engaged. Detonation in 30 minutes.
You may have been on duty all night, Pearson, but that's no excuse for this kind of slip-up.
It weren't major hold-ups, just a few minutes.
Kelly was going mad back in Earth Control.
She would.
Look, I'm sorry, Pearson. But it's my head in the noose as well, you know.
I know, I'm sorry.
Fitz, what is it, man? What's happening? Come on, man! Harvey, don't!
I'm nearly finished.
Do not make any mistakes.
I am not an expert.
But you will do it.
Yes.
Well, they finally laid the seeds
Of death.
for the final Troughton run to the finish line there.
Yeah. We're talking about the Seeds of Death, an Ice Warrior 6-episode epic. Yes, and I liked it a lot.
This it was a phenomenal piece of Troughton. I know we've been saying that about Troughton's era constantly, but this is definitely a high point.
Well, and they seem to get better and better,
right?
Recently I just watched the Crotons, and I mean that was only 2 stories ago, and this was even better than that. It was just in terms of story and quality, just special effects and camera work and everything.
Special effects, camera work, music. It's as if everything before this season of Doctor Who, and I don't mean this story. I mean everything prior to this season of Doctor Who. And this season included this one. It included the invasion. It included the Crotons, and the ones coming up next. Obviously, the last one, the War Games. It's as if this season they really invested more time and energy in putting really great sound to the episodes, really dramatic sound.
Yeah.
Stepping up. I think they started getting more money, and they were able to invest that money a little more wisely in special effects and just what they could kind of push the envelope with. You know, before they might have, the monsters. They would have relied more on the monsters' interaction. On this one, they used effects for the balloons for popping the seeds. Yeah. The bubbles for the fungus.
All the foam and everything. Yeah.
I know if we just go back one season and we talk about the Web of Fear in the underground station, the web was just a cartoony effect. It was just an overlay of spider web.
Yeah.
So that was almost nothing. It was a trick just to get them where they needed to be. But in this one, and especially coming right after the invasion, where they put a lot of money and effects into location scouting and shooting with the Cybermen, it gave them more to play with.
Yeah. This one had a lot of different sets, different places where they were, and a lot of outside stuff too with the Ice Warrior. And again, the music is so important because, as silly as it was sometimes with like the musical stings, like they'd say, the seeds, now it's in the atmosphere. It was funny, but it really added so much to it. I remember, some old Hartnell stuff where Ian's like running from some Daleks, and it's just silence. It's like there's no music, and it kind of made the scene tense, but it didn't make it as tense as it could have been when there was some music building and anticipation and stuff like that.
And that really goes to show you that after 4 or 5 years, the show had really taken off in England. That what started originally as just a sort of a fun kind of show for kids had really grown. And the BBC saw it as a potential future for BBC. That there was more money in it, and that's good. I mean, you can definitely see the growth of the show as a whole.
Yeah. One thing that I will say about Troughton's era, though, is it seems there's a lot of episodes where it's just in the near future, and there's just like they're in some kind of. There's always some kind of base and some kind of crew that he's working with, and it kind of got old but I mean, this one. I was like, another crew, but it turned out to be great. Anyway,
it's very formulaic. I mean, if we look back at there are exceptions to the rule, and obviously there's a lot that we don't have. that we can't refer. Almost this entire first season, we can't really refer to any of those stories.
Yeah.
But when we look back at anything with the Ice Warriors, anything with the Cybermen, the idea that there's a base, there's a group of humans, something's invading, something's taking over, and it sort of builds until the people who are there are captured and having to work for the monsters, and the Doctor has to find some unique way of stopping an invasion force. And this is just something that keeps happening over and over again, with a few small exceptions. Stuff like Enemy of the World,
the Mind Robber,
which were really very creative stories for what they were working with.
Yeah.
It almost feels like they sat down after Hartnell and said, Hartnell's era was sort of a throwback. It was all let's go back in time and do history stuff. Let's talk about these periods in history. And if we have to do science fiction stuff, let's make it a little more science-y than fiction-y.
Right.
But with Troughton, they said, we get a younger guy. He's more of a clown. Maybe we can do more action, more James Bond, more, the Avengers, the British Avengers, not Marvel's Avengers.
Yeah. Well, I think the time when this came out, a lot of kids they were into science fiction, and for them that meant just sort of the near future, like the 21st century.
Right.
What's
going to happen in 50 years.
I mean, this was before the moon landing. I'm pretty sure. 69 is the moon landing, so this would have been what? It started in 63, so this may have been at least close to the moon landing.
This was very close. Yuri Gagarin had already been in space.
Yeah.
The Russians had already beat us there.
So, when we think science fiction, to them, that's what that meant. We were just starting to explore space.
It's that sort of the cosmonaut, the space rocket, and then they were, especially in this story when they're talking about rockets are obsolete. TMAT is the new thing. It's the Transmat. It's interesting that they're taking from exactly their period in history, and they're playing off of that.
Well, and a lot of it's all in our solar system too. It's either on the moon base or the Martians. These Ice Warriors are from Mars.
Right.
They don't really go much farther than that. I mean, there's a couple where they go and the Mind Robber, they go to an alternate universe or some kind of
right.
Yeah,
but they didn't take them to alien worlds or anything. like that.
Yeah.
Tomb of the Cybermen being the only real different kind of piece. It's interesting too that this particular episode utilizes the moon base again. When we go back a season, go back to his first season.
Yeah.
One of the only almost complete serials we have from his first season is the moon base, and we watch the Cybermen on the moon, and we see sort of the idea that there's a centralized location that the entire world requires. It's the weather station, and that the moon itself is a key player. Again, we talk about the politics of their world at that time.
Yeah.
Everyone was, no one had gone to the moon yet. Then it was a frightening thought that the Russians or the Chinese might get there first, that someone else might get to space and might get to the moon before us.
Yeah.
Or, I say us, I mean Americans, before allies, before the British or the Americans. Weaponizing space is a very, very horrible sounding thing, and it is. So that they keep reusing this, and they reuse the idea of a group of people stranded there, a crew like we talked about, but then using Moonbase again for something completely different. You'd think Earth would have thought of this.
Yeah, and this was an interesting story because basically the story was there's a Transmat base on the moon, and basically
it's a relay point.
Yeah, it's like everybody, wherever you're going, or they transmit people and supplies and everything from one place, then it goes to the moon, and then it goes to the other place, and they'd basically outdone with rockets. Like rockets were obsolete. You
didn't need it.
And I'm sure after this they started doing rockets again. But
that was at the very end there where he's talking about the old guy's like, no, you have to have a secondary mode of transportation, rockets on standby. And then the woman's like, no, TMAT works. We just have to put control in Earth's hands, not on the moon.
Yeah. Well, and this, when this shut down, everything went to crap, on the Earth.
Yeah.
All this food that was supposed to be going to these other places didn't go, and it was crazy. It was pandemonium, and so, really, they put all their eggs in one basket, and it didn't work out. So
absolutely.
But I did enjoy sort of that science fiction aspect of it, and then of course you have the Ice Warriors mixed in there.
Yeah, because especially for that era. Because we'd seen the Daleks, we'd seen the Cybermen, We'd seen the Yeti and the Great Intelligence, and we had seen the Ice Warriors once to bring them back as a military force.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Cybermen are different. They're not. They are a military force, but they're upgraded. They're cybernetic.
Yeah, they're more of like a virus spreading.
They're a horror. Yeah. And Daleks are Daleks. You don't see the Daleks in the normal time frame for most of this stuff. But to see this military force, which is doing really smart military tactics to invade the Earth, that's something very different for Doctor Who. And you know, today we kind of take it for granted because most of Doctor Who is alien invasion and military forces, and you know, we have the Centaurans and we have the Jadoon and we have even the Daleks and the Cybermen now more as a military force. So. Right. That was interesting.
Well, and the S Warriors kind of got a little bit of an upgrade in this one too. They were a little different. We had in I think it's just called the Ice Warriors.
Yeah.
Or they were just like kind of some of them that had crashed on the planet. There was a few of them. In this one, you had kind of you get to see their whole sort of military hierarchy. You know, you had the Ice Lord. Right. He was a little different. He wasn't wearing all the armor.
Sklar, yeah. Sklar, the Ice
Sklar! He wasn't wearing all the armor, and he had kind of on a different helmet. And then later he talks to the Grand Marshal, who had a bedazzled military helmet.
RuPaul, Grand Marshal of the Ice Warriors.
And so it was interesting to kind of see that and sort of, you know, the same. They're like, oh, Ice Warriors, heat, we got it, we'll take care of it. You know, that's all we need. But I mean, they took care of it for sure. Because
this story was sufficiently darker than most of the Troughton era stuff we've seen.
Yeah,
this was a murder fest.
It really was. So many people died.
So many. Just constant, and not just died because the monsters shot them or something. That did happen a lot.
That did happen a lot. There were a lot of those.
But you had Earth forces trying to defend the Earth. You wouldn't see that kind of... You saw a unit fighting off the Cybermen in the invasion, you know, or the Yeti. But this was... Even the Doctor, at the very end, he gets a weapon.
Yeah, he does.
To shoot the Ice Warriors. He creates little heat
rays, and he goes in, guns a-blazing. He goes back to the moon where they're at, and he just, he basically kills all of them right there, standing there. And then he runs to the other Ice Warrior and uses his little hand blaster to blast the Ice Lord. And I mean, it was crazy to see.
He was our own little John McClane over there in England.
He was.
Yippee-ki-yay, Mother TARDIS. Though I will say this serial did seriously underuse a couple of elements. The most important was a random background character that we like to call Gary the overly excited android.
Yes.
There's a picture on YouTube right now. You can see him at this moment.
Yeah, we'll be putting him up.
And
hey, what?
That's
the sound he's making.
With the Cookie Monster googly eyes.
Yes.
He just shows up in this background. I had to stop it. I had to pause it, back up and say, "Did you see that?" Really?
It's like he had a tray of cookies or something and he dropped them. What?
You expected every time someone said something dramatic, they would just cut back to him. Yeah. Dun dun dun.
That's an unintentional comedy, but this episode, this story had a lot of... I'd like to think it was an intentional comedy, at least on Troughton's part. There's one scene where they're running from the Ice Warriors at the base, and, it's basically a Benny Hill chase scene.
You see the Doctor run off the screen one way, and then you see him run around and back the other way. And then an Ice Warrior following him.
Ice Warrior slowly going, the other way. And then there's for some reason, there's a bunch of mirrors in one room.
A hall of mirrors.
Hall of mirrors he runs through.
Are we sure this was a Transmat base? This wasn't Chuck E. Cheese Carnival on the moon?
It's the Doctor makes Troughton makes these faces too. It's his scared face. It's his startled face, and they're just brilliant. Okay, it just works with his Doctor, with his personality, and especially with these chase scenes. Oh, and there's a scene where he gets basically almost drowning in foam. The foam that's coming, and he's like, "Let me in!" And the foam's coming, and just his face during all that, and he slips and falls into the foam. It's just you're like, why isn't this? This should be in every episode.
It should have been.
Troughton slipping on banana peels and all sorts of stuff.
So I guess the big question for me is, what was your favorite scene?
My favorite scene, I don't know. It was hard to choose. There were a lot of. I think Trouton in the foam was great. I mean, that made me laugh so hard, and I think, it's the most memorable to me of this whole serial is him slipping around in the foam and falling into it, and then he like falls and he disappears under the foam,
right,
and then pops back up covered in foam. He's like, ah! and yeah, I love, and it was great to see the Ice Warriors again. So any of the Ice Warrior stuff was fun. Any of the new sort of the scenes with them talking and sort of in action, basically, it was fun.
For me, I think my favorite scene has to be him running away from the Ice Warrior, them running through the moon base.
Yeah,
it's when you do Doctor Who, the comedy is usually witty. It's usually all cerebral. It's something someone said, especially when we get to Tom Baker.
Yeah,
it's almost entirely him just being smarming.
Yeah,
but no, to see Trouton really, this is, I think, his best, most comedic moments were from this episode. Tomb of the Cybermen had great him and Jamie interaction. He had some really good moments with Jamie and Victoria in both Enemy of the World and Web of Fear. But this right here is the most Trouton-y that he gets with his comedy, and I really appreciated it. That was by far and wide my favorite scene.
Yeah, and it's got to be intentional. I mean, it's just got to be that. He's got to be like, you know what, I'm going to throw some of those good old Trouton faces in this and give it a little bit of... I mean, because it's a serious moment. He's running for his life, but, I mean, the way he plays it, you're just like, oh, Doctor, this is so great. He's so bumbling, and then he turns. The last scene, we were like, wow, because... Yeah. He's so bumbling and just...
Every episode, too.
And slipping around.
Flailing his arms around.
And like, oh, my giddy aunt, and like all this stuff. And then...
Very Matt Smith.
Yeah, and then you get to sort of the last confrontation scene with the Ice Lord, and he's just stone cold stare at the Ice Lord, not moving around, not fidgeting.
Right.
He's just like...
I think this is the most Matt Smith that we've seen in this Doctor, and that's because, Matt Smith emulated a lot from him. But you're right, he's bumbling around, he's goofing around, he's running around and flailing until he makes the decision and he commits to it, and the fleet is falling into the sun.
Yeah.
And when
more murder,
right? Oh,
yeah,
God,
just slaughter the whole fleet.
Huge.
Yeah.
And then when you have
he's like,
when you have Ice Lord Slar there, and he says, you've murdered everyone, and it just stone cold stare, and he says, you were going to murder everyone on Earth.
Yeah.
And it's very much that Matt Smith moment where it's that ha 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 ha, you deserve this, and I love that. That was brilliant. So final thoughts.
Well, I really liked this one. I have to knock it down a couple points because it was 6 episodes, which, in my opinion, is just too long. They stretch out some of these things, and I mean they filled it pretty well with plot points here and there, but it doesn't need more than just a few to make it a good story. So I'd give it an 8 or a 9 or something. Up there, up at the top. But it's definitely one of the best.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, this is his final season. I really think he wanted to go out with a bang. I do think we've seen some of the best work from him this season. The Mind Robber, which really pulled on not just his acting ability, but the creative ideas. The Invasion, which is a beautiful, beautiful reuniting of him and the Brigadier before his finale. War Games, which is very long, but opens up so much dramatic potential. This was his sort of final hurrah here, and it worked out brilliantly. You're right, I have to knock it down a few for the length, but other than that, this was the best you're going to find out of Trouton.
For sure.
Calculating. Voices from the Vortex gives The Seat of Death 9 out of 10.
You can't hand me over! They'll kill me!
No use in begging, okay, Bill? You're the reason they're here. If you weren't so open about the treason you were committing, they wouldn't have come here and attacked us in the first place.
They'll be here in just a minute. I've already unlocked the door. But, ain't we friends?
I'm sorry, Bill, but there's no way any of us could win in a fight against the Ice Warriors.
Martian commander arriving in 3, 2, 1.
I am Gornak, captain in the 5th Battalion for the Martian Army.
Hello, sir. I'm Matt, one of the 2 podcasting Time Lords from Gallifrey.
And I'm Taylor, the other of the 2 podcasting Time Lords.
I believe you know Bill Skaldak.
We are here to take possession of the traitorous filth known as Skaldak, the unthinkable. Guards, seize him.
No! Someone save me!
Good. Now for the TARDIS.
Martians say what now?
This time vehicle will be perfect for our assault against the Time Lords.
Whoa. We're not giving you our TARDIS.
You have no choice. We have control of your mechanical temporal vortex systems. You cannot escape.
You underestimate us, Gornak. TARDIS, activate security protocol 6.
Intrusion systems engaged.
You won't take this, TARDIS, Gornak.
Fools, you have sealed your fate. Destroy them.
I think it's time we run, Matt.
You don't have to tell me twice.
Matt, it's time to run.
Oh, okay. Dateline Gallifrey. All the news that you need to know. Our top story tonight with The Anchor.
Hello, and welcome to Dateline Gallifrey. I'm the Anchor. Our top story tonight follows the invasion of the moon transmat over Earth by the Martian military, the Ice Warriors. Recently released from their frozen tomb on Mars, the Ice Warriors have begun their war against the universe, targeting their nearest neighbor, Earth. Once the great civilization from that corner of the Milky Way galaxy, the Martian warriors have threatened to reclaim all territories previously held by their government. This includes their home solar system and its 11 planets, as well as surrounding star systems. A spokesman for the Gallifreyan Council spoke with the Martian military today, reiterating the Time Lords' position on a Martian invasion of the galaxy. Reminded of their intervention in the last great Martian empire, the Time Lords will intervene should the Martian military refuse to find a peaceful solution to cohabitation. Thank you for joining us today. From all of us at GNN, farewell.
Moonbase, home of the Transmat system. All citizens of Earth now have access to instantaneous travel. Via the Moonbase, countries move food and equipment at the speed of light. Planes and trains are a thing of the past with Transmat. Support your local Moonbase today.
Hey there, listeners to the Vortex. This is Matt.
And this is Taylor.
And today we have a special guest with us.
He's a former Martian warrior, and he's come all the way from his used TARDIS Emporium.
The Ice Warrior who sold us our TARDIS, and our friend. Ladies and gentlemen,
the 2 dudes from Gallifrey would like to present...
Bill Skaldak!
Well, howdy there, listeners to the podcast. This is Crazy Bill Skaldak saying, how do you do? Great to see you again, Bill. It's been a while since we last spoke. Why, that's the truest thing anyone has ever said about me. Last time I saw you 2 time hoppers, it was 3 years ago, next Tuesday, when you showed up at my used TARDIS Emporium looking to buy a TARDIS.
That was a wonderful day for us, too.
It's the moment we first began our podcasting adventures.
What have you been up to in the past 3 years, Bill?
Why, selling used TARDISes and helping the Martian army with covert attacks on the moon base. The usual.
That doesn't sound too good, Bill.
Nah, I make sure to feed them the information, but give it to your people, the Time Lords. They help in maintaining the peace. Bill, some people in this universe, out there somewhere, some people, they might consider that information brokering. Something the Martian army has a very strict policy about. Yeah, that's what they called it when they threw me out of the army. I was what did that old salty bag of Martian captain call me? Oh, right. I was a treasonous billyworm and deserved my fate.
This interview seems to have gotten way off track.
Warning. Attack imminent.
Attack?
TARDIS! I mean, TARDIS! What's going on?
Oh no! They found me!
Martian attack troops have surrounded the TARDIS. Incoming Martian missiles.
They're mighty pissed, ain't they? I have a feeling this is somehow our fault.
Activate the shields, Taylor. Let's hold them off and attempt to get out of here.
Warning. Temporal vortex failing. Unable to travel through time and space.
What? How did that happen?
Those old Type 40 TARDISes were known for faulty mechanicals. Or the Ice Warriors have codes to shut it down.
How would they have that?
What? You think I would have given them the codes? Where'd you get the TARDISes from in the first place? Well, all my TARDISes are from the... from the Martian army.
Great! So they have the codes to shut us down, and a grudge against us in the first place.
Now I can't help thinking this is all his fault.
Skaldax?
Yeah, think about it. He's revealing sensitive data on our podcast.
Well, that doesn't matter. That'd only matter if they could hear us.
We are broadcasting right now.
Son of a doom!
Well, I guess I should be going.
You sit right there and hold on. If you're the reason we're in this mess, maybe you can help get us out.
I'll open up communications and we'll try to negotiate a ceasefire. You're listening to Voices from the Vortex, Episode 21, Xetrov et Morf Seciov. Broadcast March 2015.
Broadcasting by way of Gallifrey. Stand by for podcast. This is Voices from Vortex.
Hey buddy, what you working on?
Oh, this? I'm glad you asked.
Uh-oh.
What?
I feel like every time you say that, you're about to show me something that is going to start a calamity.
What? Wait, me?
Yes, you.
Oh, well, okay, maybe in the past, but no, this is something different.
Alright, what is it?
Taylor, what would you say our biggest problem is?
Well, the constant attacks on us or the TARDIS by unknown forces, the general craziness ensuing from our wacky antics, our complete lack of official canonicity by the BBC.
No. We always come up with the best ideas long after the podcast is done.
I'm not sure that's ever been
Introducing the REVERSE-MO-TRON, a device capable of reversing time and allowing us to use the ideas we forget to use. This could revolutionize the podcasting industry.
Matt, that's impossible.
What is?
A reverse-inator.
REVERSE-MO-TRON.
Whatever, it's not possible. We cannot simply turn back time and redo a podcast.
We can't simply turn back time and redo a podcast. Why not? We live in a time machine.
Yes, but there are rules. Matt, rules which must be followed.
Maybe for a TARDIS, but not for the REVERSE-MO-TRON.
TARDIS, are you okay with this?
I find it a grotesque deviation from traditional time travel technology.
So, you hate it?
Not if you chose to call it the TARDIS Temporal Device.
Wow.
No, we're not calling it the TARDIS Temporal Device. It's not even TARDIS technology.
Your loss.
This device runs on quantum entanglement theory that allows us to rewind time based on quantum entangled plot points.
So, if something is, say, loosely connected, we could rewind to the original point for that moment and change it?
Exactly.
So, if I mentioned Clarence the Dalek, we could rewind back to episode 17?
Who?
Clarence the Dalek? Salesman? Atlanta?
I don't think I was there for that one, but theoretically, yes, I guess we could.
Excellent. I'll just make sure to mention last week's episode of So You Think You Can Regenerate on a future podcast so I can rewind and see it again.
Couldn't you just TiVo it?
DVR technology doesn't work inside a TARDIS. It causes temporal looping. Very bad stuff.
Attention, incoming starship.
Ah, that must be our special guest tonight.
Oh yeah! Who do we have?
Bill Skaldeck.
Wait, the Ice Warrior who sold us our TARDIS?
Yeah, he's a hoot.
Alright, well, I'll get this mess cleaned up.
And put that REVERSE-MO-TRON away. I don't want Bill to accidentally sit on it or something.
Don't worry, Taylor. I'm sure there's no reason whatsoever for us to have to use this device in the near future. That was extremely ominous.
Meanwhile, on an asteroid very far away.
We are here, as requested. Show yourself.
Hello, Ice Warrior. I have a mission for you.
We do not take missions from outsiders.
Oh, I think you might want to reconsider on this one. One of your fellow Martians. He's about to leak sensitive material to the galaxy.
Who is this traitor?
He goes by the name of Skaldeck. Bill Skaldeck.
Our renegade commander. We will deal with him.
Good. Then everything is going according to plan.
And what is in it for you?